Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again doing another discography countdown of one of my favorite bands. Today we are going to be talking about Waldgeflüster. This is probably a little bit more of an unknown one, very underrated band from Germany. If you've never heard of these guys before, maybe some comparisons of like-minded bands would be like Panopticon, Falls of Raros, Seor, Aglock, stuff in that kind of vein. Very much rooted in black metal, but not like straight ahead black metal. Very much more like experimental. That experimental might not be the right word, but very like nature based. I would consider them very emotional and like profound black metal. Very rooted in nature. Everything is in German, so I apologize if I have any German viewers out there. I am going to butcher a lot of these pronunciations. But yeah, anyways, the name Waldgeflüster, it means forest whisperings. That's a perfect name for this band because, yeah, they really evoke nature so goddamn well and really makes you feel like you're in the forest. They just released a brand new album today. It's called Dahoam. And yeah, I'm going to be including that in my list here and also giving you my thoughts on their new album. So including that new album, they've got 7 in total. I'm just going to run through them from my least favorite down to my favorite. I'll preface this by saying I really don't think they have any bad albums at all. So even though something's coming in 7th, that does not mean it's bad. I go listen to all these 7 albums all the goddamn time. Love this band to bits. And yeah, let's just kick this off. Let's see what I've got in which spot. So up first, my least favorite Waldgeflüster album. But like I said, even this coming in last, I still give this a solid 8 out of 10. They don't have any bad albums, but something has to come 7th. So coming in last from 2019 is Mondschein Sonaten. Like I said, probably mispronouncing a lot of this stuff, but yeah, that's my best my best shot at pronouncing this album title. So this one, it kind of is following in the same veins as where the last album left off, which I'll talk about later on. But to me, I'm only ranking this one last because it's just not quite as memorable as some of their other albums. Like, there's still some catchy parts, but it's not quite as standout. But it's still got really awesome songwriting. Like, all in all, it's still a very, very enjoyable album. Like I said, I would still give this one like an 8 out of 10. It's still fucking awesome. Something had to come last. Great songs on here. Rotgoldene Novemberwalder and Und der Wind is very great as well. All in all, very solid album, but something had to come 7th. Up next at number 6, I'm going with Stimmen im Wind from 2020. This one is a little bit different. I don't know if it should actually even be included in my ranking. It's actually a re-recording of their original demo, which came out like, I think the demo was from 2007 or 2008, but the sound quality wasn't great, and it was a demo. But they re-recorded this and actually released it as a full-out actual album with actual drums. I should have said before, Waldgeflüster started out as a one-man band. The first few albums were just one dude, Winterhers, who is fucking awesome. And yeah, by this point, after 3 albums, he did get some other band members in there. And so redoing the demo, it is still just Winterhers, but he brought in an actual drummer to make the sound a little bit better. Seeing as this is their demo, but re-recorded, it is actually their most black metal album, like probably their harshest album out of all of these, which you think, knowing me, that I love black metal, that maybe this would be higher in the list. But I like some of their more different approaches to their songwriting on some of their albums a little bit more. This is probably their most like straightforward, stripped down, like simplistic approach to songwriting. But that being said, it's still fucking great. The riffs on here are awesome. It's an absolutely awesome black metal fucking album. Best songs on here, Morgendämmerung. I can't pronounce these. I actually have a song called Waldgeflüster. That one's really good. Fucking great chorus. And yeah, all in all, this one, even though it's a re-recording of a demo, I'd still easily give this one like 8.2, 8.3 out of 10. I really enjoy it. Definitely still worth a listen. Coming in at number 5, I'm going with the brand new one, Dahoam. Like I said, this just came out today, so I have only listened to it a few times. There was actually a early release on YouTube yesterday on the labels page, so luckily I got to listen to this yesterday a few times and was able to make this video this morning. I was going to do this one next week. I've been prepping all week listening to all the Waldgeflüster albums, And yeah, then this one came out a day early, so you're getting an early sneak peek at my thoughts on this album. And yeah, it's really great. These kind of albums, they really are growers. So even right now that I've got this at number 5, this could easily jump up on my list in the future. These kind of albums don't really sink in until you've listened to it probably 10 or 15 times, to be honest. So it's hard to give like a very thorough examination of this album after only a few listens, but nonetheless, I do thoroughly enjoy this one. The atmosphere is great. I cannot wait to like listen to this on my headphones as I go on a hike in nature, 'cause this band is just perfect for that. It suits that kind of shit so fucking well. This album really balances clean vocals and the raspy black metal screams excellent. Like, both of them are great. There's some really gorgeous acoustic parts too. I really like the flow of this album. It starts with like an intro, and then there's 3 long songs. So it's like intro, long song, interlude, long song, kind of another interlude-y kind of track, the other long song, and then a nice outro. I really like the flow of that. They do that similarly on another album that I will talk about later. So I think they're kind of trying to go with that same kind of vibe to the album as they have done previously. And it works really well. It just, all in all, it really creates a very enjoyable listening experience. It's not just black metal after black metal. There's some nice little breaks in there, some acoustic breaks. And just all in all, I really fucking like this album. My ranking out of 10, right now, I would probably give this 8.5 out of 10 easily. It may even go up higher after a few more listens, but yeah, don't be surprised if this is on my year-end list. It's that fucking good. Favorite tracks on here, Im Ebersberger Forst, and my favorite song on the album is probably Mim Blickofen Kaiser. Once again, I apologize for the pronunciations, but I'm doing my best here. Those are my 2 favorite tracks on the album, but all in all, really stellar addition to the Waldgeflüster catalog. Can't wait to go listen to this album some more. If you haven't listened to it yet, please go do yourself a favor and check it out right now. I think my camera got a little messed up here, so I'm just gonna fix that. Hopefully it stays where it is. Let's get back into this list. Coming in at number 4, I'm going with their debut from 2009, Herbstklagen. I can't believe that I only have this 4th. Going into this, like with how many times I've listened to all these albums, I was anticipating putting this one higher than 4th. But when I'm scoring all these albums and listening to them back to back, I like 3 other ones a little bit better, just slightly edging it out. Like this one, I for sure give 8.7, 8 out of 10. It's really great, especially for a debut. Very like unconventional black metal, very much inspired by nature. This album kind of brings in some folky acoustics as well, just kind of interspersed throughout. There's a few clean vocals on this album, but definitely more black metal rasps as opposed to some of their later albums. They brought in more clean singing. But the melodies and riffs on here are just fucking awesome. Like, great fucking black metal riffs. At the time, this was just a one-man band. He did have a session drummer, but there's just a great sense of melancholy to this whole album, but it's still like very beautiful and enjoyable. Like, I fucking love this album. Putting this 4th is very difficult because it's so goddamn good. Best songs on here, Wotang Song, Herbstbefell Land. Absolutely awesome songs. All in all, really killer album. Now let's get into the top 3, even better stuff. So coming in at number 3 from 2016 is Runin. This was their 4th album, and this one really knocked it out of the park. This one's bordering on 9 out of 10. I'll say 8.9 for the purposes of doing this list. But yeah, this one really mixes the clean vocals and the screams excellently. It's got more of like a mid-paced feel to a lot of the songs. Like, they're not as fast as some of the older stuff. Really kind of building the atmosphere with these riffs, but it's just great. It really creates these like this beautiful soundscape, and the melodies just really permeate through this whole album. Definitely not as aggressive as previous albums, but it's awesome. Like, it's just awesome. Great acoustics on this album. The songwriting was really matured by this point, and it's just an excellent, excellent album. Can't talk this one up enough. Favorite songs on here, Welten Wanderer, Runenfelder, Aschaphonics. And I should have mentioned this was the first album that actually had a full band. It wasn't just Winterhers anymore. It actually had other guitarists, bass, drums, everything. So this was their first album where it was not just a one-man band. But that just leaves 2 albums. These ones are really tough. Could have put them in either order. If you've never heard Waldgeflüster before, I would say definitely go check out one of these next 2 albums as kind of your entry into the band because it's a great way to start. Coming in at number 2 from 2014, I'm going with their third album, Meine Fesseln. Sorry, I'm really struggling with these German pronunciations, as you can tell. Oh, this album is fucking great. It's so sorrowful, but beautiful at the same time. The clean vocals are actually, like, absolutely awesome. Really catchy choruses. The vocals kind of remind me of Woods of Ypres a little bit, just with, like, mixing the clean vocals with the harsh screams. Not that the music really sounds like Woods of Ypres, but just the vocal approach to it. There's lots of acoustics on this album and like some other instruments mixed in with the black metal. But the choruses on this album are so fucking catchy. It's awesome. This was still a one-man band, but he had lots of other like guest appearances by other musicians to help him create this whole beautiful fucking album. Favorite songs on here, Der Nebel, When die Morgenson. That chorus is so fucking catchy. When die Morgenson. I can't sing the rest because I don't know German. But Karhunkiros is another great song. All in all, fucking awesome album. I gave this one like a 9.3 out of 10. Absolutely awesome. But that just leaves one even better album. That would be their second album from 2011, Femmensmarke. This one is fucking masterpiece. One of the best black metal albums from 2011, easily. And when I was talking about the new album with the kind of flow with some interludes interspersed in between, this is the album that I think does it perfectly, that maybe trying to emulate what they captured with this album on the new one. And maybe not, they don't get it quite there on the level of this, but that's because this is a masterpiece. It's not taking anything away from the new album because it's fucking awesome. This is kind of a concept album. Winterhurst and his brother both like trekked through the Femmensmarke Park, and then they wrote about their experience and wrote this whole album about that. And there's a lot of variation in these songs, like different approach just song to song to really evoke the different feelings that they must have experienced while going through that park. The whole album is just so amazing. It's beautiful and melancholic. There's like 4 instrumentals on here and just 3 longer tracks, and kind of the same thing. It's like intro, long track, interlude, long track, interlude, long track, outro. But it flows fucking perfectly, and even some of those interludes, like, they're not songs that you should just skip. They're not pointless interludes. Like, they are fucking actual songs that are great. It just serves the purpose of kind of bridging one of the longer songs to another with a beautiful, say, acoustic part. And then there's maybe even like a DSBM kind of feel to one of the interludes. Just all in all, fucking awesome, awesome stuff. Favorite tracks on here, Seenland, interlude 2, Not, is very fucking great. And Fichtenhain, absolutely awesome. This album is like 9.7 out of 10. Almost bordering on like a 10 out of 10. I'm trying not to give as many albums 10 out of 10 these days. When I started the channel, I was always like, that's a 10, that's a 10. Well, maybe not quite. I'm scaling that back a little bit. Save the 10s for fucking perfect albums. But this is pretty goddamn close. Anyways, these are just my opinions as usual. I'd love to hear yours down below. What do you think of the brand new album by Waldgeflüster? What's your favorite album? What's your least favorite? What'd you think of my list? Anyways, give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Go check out Waldgeflüster because they're fucking awesome. And until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews, out!